For my first YouTube video ever, I wanted to talk about something that I'm super passionate about, something that happened to me this past year, and probably the it was one of the highlights of my year, which is kind of funny saying that, but it 100% was. And that highlight is me quitting coffee. Any of y'all who know me know that I used to be diehard obsessed with coffee. Going out to coffee shops all the time, posting pictures of coffee all the time. If you look at my Instagram feed from you know, the beginning of this year and back, it's literally just pictures of coffee. I wanted to open up my own coffee shop. I brewed my coffee every morning at home. I had to get like the best beans that I could possibly find. I love trying all different types of coffee. I was, yeah, obsessed. And then something happened to me earlier this year that really had me questioning my caffeine intake. Um, I was having some really bad panic attacks, really bad anxiety. Granted, I have I've always said I had anxiety for the past 10 years of my life. I've always said I had a little nervous jitters. Coffee sometimes made me nervous. You know, racing heart. But this past year, it got a little out of control. And by a little, I mean completely out of control to the point where I my nervousness got to a point where I didn't feel comfortable going in grocery stores and shopping for myself. I didn't feel comfortable waiting in line um, at a cafe to order food. I didn't feel comfortable interacting with anyone. At my very worst, it was I couldn't live like that. It was so bad. So I ended up going to see a psychiatrist because I had gotten to a point where I was so anxious that I couldn't drink my coffee anymore and do lots of other things. But like, what was I really focusing on? I can't even drink my coffee anymore. Jesus, I know it's fucked up, but that's where my head was at. So I went to see a psychiatrist. He prescribed me medicine that I never took, um, and I don't know how things started clicking in my mind or when exactly. It might have been a week after I saw the psychiatrist or 2 weeks. I don't know. But I realized it was like this light bulb had went off in my head. And I said, Gina, you basically saw a psychiatrist to get medication to allow you to continue drinking coffee, caffeine, to get a drug to allow you to continue another drug. Whoa. I mean, obviously, I was getting the drug for other reasons as well, like to be able to function properly on a day to day basis. But that one fact alone really it hit me hard. Um, it was a wake up call. It was it was actually the answer or the wake up call or the light bulb that I so desperately needed and didn't even realize it at the time. Because once I realized that, I was like, all right, Gina, you you got to cut out caffeine for a bit. You got to see what it does to you. Not just for a week, not just for 2 weeks. You're going to have to stop drinking coffee to really see if this has any positive effects on your mental health, your anxiety, your nervousness. So that's what I did. It was hard. It was an on and off thing. I'd quit and then I'd add in matchas, but that's still caffeine. So I wasn't really quitting all the caffeine. And it took, I think because I was still drinking matchas, it took a while for me to really see the effects of quitting caffeine. I mean, like, it took like about 2 months. And I know that seems like a really long time because caffeine leaves your bloodstream way quicker than 2 months. I mean, all the caffeine. I mean, the half life of caffeine is what, 6 hours or something. But this is more than just the caffeine being in your bloodstream. It's what years of drinking caffeine every day does to your stress hormones. Now, it does take a long time for stress hormones to go back to normal. I think if you Google that right now, it can take many weeks. So now that I'm like half a year on the other side of it, and never felt better physically, mentally, emotionally, like so many different pros. Like there's like one con, and I can't go to like, I mean, I can still go to my coffee shops if I wanted to, but I just don't want to anymore. It's it's part of my past, and I'm okay with that. If one of my friends wants to go to a coffee shop, absolutely. Like, I can handle a decaf if if I want to, or I can just get something non-caffeinated or a water. Like, I still like sitting at coffee shops, but I don't go by myself anymore, ever. But I still enjoy passing the coffee shops and thinking about the memories I had there with my dad, especially. So yeah, I don't have anything against the coffee culture, but it's a love-hate relationship sort of thing, because now I am going to tell you the 5 ways that quitting caffeine has changed my life. And just sharing these because maybe it will inspire you. Maybe you've been going through some of the things that I was going through previously, and quitting caffeine could help you tremendously. So, number one is the most obvious and the most important thing is a serious decrease in anxiety and nervousness and overall daily function. it's it was amazing, and I started drinking coffee 10 years ago. And when I look back throughout all those years, I can point out so many times where I was really anxious about an hour after drinking coffee. Really uncomfortable, really edgy, of racing heart, sweaty palms. Like, even the last guy I dated, like, he recognized my sweaty palms after I drank coffee, and I was like, I don't feel really good right now. And also too, caffeine is terrible for people that already have unstable blood sugar, or like low blood sugar, because I'm the type of person where if I go a long time without eating, I can start to feel like super lightheaded, dizzy. It's not always, but you add caffeine on top of that mix, that is bad news bears. That is, and God, I experienced that so much over the past 10 years, but I never blamed it on caffeine. I just always blamed it on, I need to eat something. But it was a combination of the two. It was the caffeine making my blood sugar drop. Like, you get the caffeine crash a few hours after you drink coffee. And it was my blood sugar already dropping because I hadn't ate in a while. So when you combine those two things, then you can start to feel really shaky, jittery. Not everyone gets like this. I did. Very sensitive to stimulants and just everything. I'm just a sensitive human. So, whew, caffeine, I don't know how I survived with it for 10 years, if I'm being honest. But, man, barely, I guess. Only made it to 30. But number 2, more steady energy throughout the day. And this kind of goes back to what I was saying about blood sugar. I don't get energy crashes. I mean, at around like 2 or 3 p.m., I get a little sleepy, but that's a normal time for humans to feel a little tired. It's like that afternoon nap tired. But I don't ever want to actually sleep in the middle of the day or just feel like completely beat hours like I would have after having caffeine. Um, yeah, I don't know. I wake up in the morning and I do not need caffeine to get up and get going, which is that is going to bring me to the third point. I have an easier morning routine now. I don't have to make my coffee anymore. I don't have to think, oh, do I want to go out to a coffee shop this morning? I'm I'm I'd say I'm saving a little money, but now I just drink a lot of fruit and veggie smoothies in the morning. So like, I don't know if I'm really saving that much money, but I feel so much better drinking my smoothies in the morning versus drinking that cup of coffee. Whole fruit veggies are where it's at. We don't need to be acting like coffee is a superfood, because it's just not. It's at the end of the day, it is a beverage and it has a drug in it, and it is the most widely used drug in the world, and it is a serious moneymaker. So think about that. If coffee suddenly went away or ever we found out that it was not super healthy for us, it would be so horrible for the industries. And unfortunately, America and the world runs on money and greed. They don't care about the health of us. Like I those studies about antioxidants and you know coffee protecting your heart and yada yada yada. I there's other studies that will say otherwise. Um, and if you want to learn all the science about caffeine, and one of my favorite books that I've ever read, Caffeine Blues. I don't remember the author's name in my head, but obsessed with this book. It has so many studies in it, and it is like, to me, it's the real story about caffeine, the truth, what it's really doing to our bodies. It is such a good read. Number 4, I just feel more control of my life, more control in my life, meaning that like I don't live my day thinking like, when am I gonna get my next coffee? Like, I need my coffee now. I need my coffee before I can do this. Like, because I remember there would just be so many times where like I wouldn't do this until I had a coffee. For example, I would not be making this video without caffeine in my system. And I'm not gonna lie, it was a little bit harder for me to like start this video and get going and start talking without a cup of coffee, but you don't need it. And like, to me now, caffeine was just another thing like holding me back, almost like holding me hostage. Like, I know that's, oh god, that was dramatic. But I don't want to feel like I need anything, especially, I mean, obviously you need food, you need water, that these things you really need. But do we need caffeine? No, 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 no. And the amount of people that say they need caffeine every day, it's like, damn, like, we're all just a bunch of fucking addicts. I mean, I was too. Although I don't think I needed it physically like some people do, but I needed it mentally. Like, I'm like, I gotta have my cup of coffee because I need that dopamine increase, like that serotonin increase. I need my feel good hormones like spinning around in my head. That is literally the same thought process the drug addicts have. Like, fuck. Like, and I don't want to say that people that need coffee every day are drug addicts, because that just sounds terrible, right? But like, we definitely have an addiction, and yeah, me finally quitting that and letting go of that it's brought back self control. Yes. Number 5. And this is just an overall effect of quitting caffeine. And it's just that I just feel healthier in all the ways. Mentally, physically, I don't have a racing heart. Like, ew, I don't want to have a racing heart multiple times a day. And side note, another awesome effect of me quitting coffee is and I know this is going to sound weird to some people, probably most people, but like I said, my body's really sensitive. I could never have a cup of coffee before I worked out, because the racing heart coffee gave me, plus working out, it was like way too much, and I started to feel like I had the spins. So once I quit coffee, it was like, oh fuck yeah, I can start working out in the morning again. That's what I like. I love working out in the morning. But before, my workouts were in the middle of the day, like 2, 3, 4, whatever time I could. And I was solely doing that just so I could have my cup of coffee in the morning. And like, that goes back to my point number 4, feeling more in control of my life. Like, I can now do the things I want to do at the times I want to do. And coffee does not revolve around any of it. Caffeine. Yes, I like that. So, yes. All right. We're just going to do a quick recap of the effects quitting coffee has had on my life, the positive changes. Number 1, less anxiety, less jitters. The most important one. If you're walking around saying you have anxiety, saying you're a super nervous person, if you're on anti-anxiety meds, it could be possible that all the caffeine you're drinking is the reason that you're taking anti-anxiety meds. I'm not saying that's the reason. It could be possible just because it was possible for me. Although I never took the anti-anxiety meds, but I thought I was gonna have to until I quit caffeine. So number 2, more steady energy throughout the day. 3, much easier morning routine. 4, feel way more in control of my life. And last one is I just feel healthier, so much healthier overall. And quitting caffeine was one of the most important, crucial things I've ever done for my well-being. I could almost sit here and start crying thinking of the positive effects it has had on me. And I hope that if you're struggling with anxiety, especially if you're just a really sensitive person, if you know that, like, I mean, like, emotionally sensitive, sensitive to stimulants, like all around a sensitive person, you could so possibly benefit from quitting caffeine. And if you're even thinking about it, I'm here for you. You can talk to me. I support your journey. Give it a try and let me know how it goes. So that's it. Talk to you soon.